Welcome. So, lots of stuff to talk about. I'm just going to start here. Pardon me, I don't really know how to talk about other people's work and to them about their work. So, this is in relationship to some recent comments I've been getting. For instance, here, not the only time, where people have just repetitively referenced Dutch Cincy, Dutchinzy. I don't know how to say it, pardon me. His work, and I mean, I've looked at it before. My take in the past, every time I've come across your work, is it looks it's like when I'm watching a video, almost like I need to like jump back and like find an entry point, a good entry point to figure out what's going on. This video, after watching this one happenstance, he's like, you know, while we're at it, I'm going to explain these lines and what I'm thinking is going on, and explains it pretty much saying, like, when there's earthquakes, they follow these trend lines. Like, if there's one here, then there will be one, like, following these paths. This is what I've observed. This is what I've mapped. And then this is what I think is actually happening. So this was my first, like, okay, I see the general process. Good. And I agree. Fully agree. I'll take your word for it in terms of the arrows and the way things have traveled in observation. Since then, I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I think this map might help because it really shows the nuances. I said high resolution because essentially, I believe it was he's basing the generally this off of plate boundaries, which are more so manifestations of things more on this line, which this is probably just higher resolution imagery of where the current is flowing, why it's so like Turkey, where the earthquake was here, which has this like object, this body, this mass at the end of this like pathway. It's almost like it's if it comes in with too much force, it can kind of like dislodge it and like strip some of this material out this way with it, or just push it enough to cause like tremoring above. And so like that location, that this structure is relevant maybe to the earthquakes happening here. Things of that nature that, okay, so that's not why I hit record exactly, but there's so many parallels to our work that are showing up in what I was watching today. So I've been kind of watching to see what's up. And so this one was about earthquakes. I generally agree with his analysis. I'll say that. And additively, that this map just provides a more nuanced, these are the current pathways, the channels, the blue paths being channels, and the purple, pink being masses that are like at the sides of the channels that basically current does not flow through. So just adding clearly more detail than like a surface analysis or like a plate boundary line map. Okay, so this video though, without going into too much detail about I'll just basically attempt to summarize and hopefully do justice to what he's saying. So there's this region here from the Starfort idea, which I believe, but also maybe at times what is actually being observed. This is my interpretation. Is more what is actually being observed is a physical like manifestation. Like here's kind of like a pentagon, five-sided type thing. Basically, a manifestation of a physical geometry that's not just like happenstance, but is like Gurnar, literally a hexagon. Gurnar is so relevant because it. What do you mean I was watching that? Don't be ridiculous. That wasn't. That was just. I just want to see it go back. I still haven't watched the whole series. I can watch it in the other room. I just choose to do that. Okay. What's up? I was going to Mount Gurnar to pull up this. So not only does it have an outer hexagon, which is not very visible here, but the outer hexagon is made of basalt with an inner hexagon of olivine gabbro. And then within that is a sort of triangle with a line, like more of a straight across. And then if we get rid of the labels, not only that, it has straight across, it also has these things, which brings to mind channel Earth from a different angle. This video, where I just kind of look around and I put a protractor over top things, like this angle, this angle, this angle, here, this relative to these, just like, and then I go beyond there and I start to go around the coastlines and just like over here and measure angles. Measure angle here, which is more known. Over here, I don't know if I do it in that video. Over here, this angle from like here to here. Like if we just do that. And go here to here, basically. I mean, it's pretty much 120. I'm, of course, going into the corner because I'm trying to get, like, the final angle, and then where it's straight, and then the final, like, when it goes straight again. So it bends at 120 to go from a straight to a straight. And then over here, so this kind of thing just naturally happens, and then I don't want to be, like, rude. But like, so that comes back to here where there's angles, there's interesting geometries here. So my interpretation is like here's a sort of like I see it as almost like a hexagon like here, and then another hexagon here maybe. But then like here's one that kind of is only here, but maybe to like that structure-ish. Maybe there. So when I looked at this, when I looked at these, like I really looked in. I mean, so essentially, a fort is a concept here. I think it's just that they literally form polygonal boundaries, so that like if we look at the over here, like it's kind of like the same process but without an ocean, but instead with like a more at the surface where it's happening, like this stuff. Where it forms actual like bubbles. Like when I look at this, it literally makes me think of pee. Like the bubbles of urine. Or some kind of like liquid that bubbles. That's what it makes me think of, because I think it formed in the essentially this happened in the Earth expansion process when the Earth was attacked by a vortex weapon, which happened over here, punctured the mantle or whatever exactly was punctured, that caused flow to occur, and an exchange to happen between the storm itself, which reached to space, brought space through, and pushed material out between the crust and this like other layer that was like preventing the stuff that flowed from flowing, but once it was punctured, it was pushed out. This happened and flowed everywhere. Flowed over in this direction especially, where it then ran into an ancient ocean. So there's an ancient ocean going on around here, around this region, I think, but then this didn't exist yet because the Earth had yet to expand. So it just went from here straight over here, started to heat exchange with this ancient ocean, which was above the crust. So it's flowing below the crust, this molten material that's seemingly hot enough that to heat exchange at least, to then solidify and stop flowing as like laminarly as was occurring over here. Then it solidifies by this heat exchange process and forms the Laurentian boundary, which then over time basically forms a container that this current couldn't flow into as easily anymore. So it essentially ended up going like further and further this way until it went around the Laurentian boundary that was formed in this container, and then it free flowed much more readily, which then when it reached around Florida, it broke off into a V shape like this, going literally up this way all the way to Vancouver, and then down this way maybe, or even down over here. It might have been down all the way over here, probably down to there, like right along the portion here that was physically conjoined. Essentially right here went right here, and a current that flowed from up here this way down at some point in the process, and unrelated but the same current, but not the same. It flowed this way, formed this, but then it flowed this way, formed basically a lot of this stuff going on in this region. Like Yellowstone was involved in this current. This current was involved in forming Yellowstone and Bighorn Mountains, and just like breaking into the boundary that was formed here and causing even more current to flow in, and just allowing for the system to stabilize, the support structure to stabilize by having enough openings for current to flow through it with it just stable. But this current continued down here and out, and it physically exited from right here, which is kind of still visible in how this is, was like that. like this was connected to here, like in a shape much more like this, which was just adjacent to South America. And then it flowed under South America like a flame and then went into Africa. So there's a cross current here which is involved in this separation, which is actually going on right here. So the current comes in along the eastern half of North America, which is not visible here, and then it reaches Florida, which I believe is probably in this region generally. So if we go to my animations, like for instance, this, essentially it was like this, where here's that inlet location in South America. It was adjacent to Australia. North America was here. The Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, like tab that protrudes out here was actually conjoined, and then it kind of like spaced out by current flows, just moving things around. That where current was really intense in this region. So it really created a bunch of like little islands. And then also like this. Bonds here that broke. So these were adjacent. I'm not so sure about this. I think actually it was directly down, and there's more to it with like rotation. It was like this, it rotated, reconnected, and then broke off. Something of that nature. So that it's a little confusing. This, for instance, like the way these two have Sutter Buttes, Una Island, San Francisco Bay. Here's the Yellowstone boundary that I... So along this line up to Vancouver is Yellowstone right here. So this current and this current meet at Yellowstone. And then there's Bighorn Mountain here to the east of it, but also like positive negative structure with Yellowstone. But then Yellowstone has this kind of like this segment that protrudes out this way, and then this segment that protrudes out this way. This one is what this is. Going straight to Sutter Buttes as well. Which then has like an opposite of Una Island. Bangai Islands are kind of like an opposite of San Francisco Bay. There's current flow is still visible. Whether or not my arrows are precise is unclear still. I haven't really thought about it. It's highly likely that this is correct, but I think I draw this one, yeah, this way. I'm not so sure about this one. Okay, so let's keep going. Under Florida. So here's the combination of Florida here, and then the Western Pacific, where the Mid-Pacific Mountains are here, literally forming underneath North America at the time. Why did I do that? which is these things. And this was protruding under North America and slid away, which is exactly where the New Madrid fault line is. So, like, the support structure is here, which is why the New Madrid fault line is not stable, because its support structure is not there. And because it slid away when this process occurred. Then there's this, like the Bighorn Mountain. It's almost like from this angle we can kind of see like maybe in a small circle, larger circle, larger circle. That's like leading into Yellowstone, and then even that this features kind of has like a big circle that's more centered over here, like right there. Let's see where that is. Centered. Was it here? So I think though that this current, even though it depicts really like stopping, like it hit a wall, this goes up this way, and then it seemingly hits a wall and goes around it and really starts to break through just at this boundary and run into a wall again, which goes back to this. It's running into resistance in this region because the current is flowing in here. Oh shit. Like goes straight across all the way to here. I wonder if it's related even to this. This bit. Going in here, here. Just like straight across, maybe. What in the... And then through here and out. Oh. Which then looks like it might have gone this way. So again, we see like the hexagon type of structure. This is a really good spot to see it here, where it occurs on that scale, because it's like tiles in a video game. Like it's got like dodecahedron, all those kind of sacred geometry things that like it actually is occurring in the earth itself. Like we can kind of see it here. Go up here, over here. They tend to have a circle inside of them also, like a node, a nucleus, some kind of center. I think over here. We also see them in different shapes. Here's kind of one. Again, with that kind of like change in angles. That's just on a too large a scale to really be like natural. My thought is they understood this occurred naturally, and they literally, the actual star forts, they literally formed their star forts over the structure itself, understanding like the energies in ways that I don't know exactly why they would do that, but it makes sense that they would figure out there's fractal positive negative battery source type things and which ones are which, and then begin to figure out how to like appropriately build structures appropriately to get like the full potential out of like their lives and their experience, because they're like, this other way has a lot of side effects, and they went through probably the same like step by step progress that we have gone through, and saw its detriments to a point where they literally didn't do that and instead did that, like a more of a rigorous, like in tune with the universe. Like, we're out of tune when we don't know and utilize the like structure of the universe in our like way of operation in it. But it's almost as because we need to be, because we weren't like tuning ourselves. We got out of tune, and then really got out of tune. But Malkarnar did this naturally. Naturally. I mean, as naturally as can be. Like, the Earth processes did it. Yes, it was attacked by a vortex weapon right over here. That then the vortex did all sorts of things and then caused this. And so, kind of like someone did it. As absurd as that is, someone is responsible for the Earth as we see it today, because someone attacked it with a vortex weapon and made it expand by puncturing the mantle and exchanging space into the innards of the Earth, and causing the Earth to basically react and become at a new equilibrium. Someone did that. So like it is man-made, but like it's not like the Earth did it though. The Earth reacted and did it. Like someone just attacked a city with a vortex weapon, then a vortex emerged, nature like took over, caused the Earth to become the Earth as it is today. And like the processes of current flows were like shallograms, all sorts of things that are really relevant, but also kind of like all the processes that caused particles like this. Like, this is a fractal particle, like a planet, like a star. A dead one though, because it, like, the current flows that were reaching it no longer are, and it like rusted out, and things that like prevented it from exchanging with the environment, and then like literally it died like and then falls out, and it's just sitting there like a neutron star or something. I don't know. But like shallograms, like the Earth did this. These are not fossils. These are the result of current flows in the Earth. The Earth itself has this structure. right here. I would say maybe with the, I don't want to say the tab here, or Greenland. Maybe as the tab protruding thing, that's like a bump. Maybe Greenland is representative of this segment, but then it's got spirals. That's interesting. At this point, I mapped it that way. Thanks, self of past. Apparently, I said this current. I said this current went up this way. Whoa. Because it's almost like it was here, and then it, like, energetically, like a shallogram, it moved, like how Hawaii bends and how this bends down here at 120 degrees. This. Thereabouts, this. Then there's this video. This here. I guess let me just find it. Sup, dude? These blue earthquakes. Okay, okay. It's pretty much like this. This is their shape. I just put over top of them. Like they literally are in a straight line. Although that's a little off, maybe related to some pressure able to bend the line there. I'd like to see the whole freaking map. Like, where the hell is it? I know I looked at it like forever. I'm a little confused. Seismic Explorer. There it is. There it is. I was like, what is that website anyway? Okay, play. I don't need to play it. We just need to see it. This very straight line, and then sudden abrupt bend, and then straight line. Strongly suggestive that this is just like a thing that happens. I mean, again, like over here also. Like it is as crazy as it sounds. It is natural. I see why it looks like it could be like someone built a fort here. Now, the thing is the expansion of the Earth was long enough ago and early enough ago that maybe the seafloor was lower and maybe it was in some way occupied at the distant past after the attack on Dwarka, after the Earth expanded and things stabilized. But that would be like 4,000 BC to present, or thereabouts, 5,000 BC, 5,500 BC to present. So that's my thoughts, at least based on my many videos of underground science and the lines of reasoning that I've put forth there, as well as other things like my Dwarka video and just the whole series of things I've considered and documented. Like, this really makes me think, like, we could maybe figure out how currents flow. Like, it really, something to do with currents. It makes me think of almost like a bubbling at the boundary. Like, it could have got more just, like, pushed away, but it... I also was thinking, like, there's maybe, like, I noticed, like, a thing here that kind of spirals around here, like, this way. And up this way, and kind of down here. So it's almost like a ammonite, which I see, like, I've seen ammonites all over the place. Here's a trilobite on the side of a mountain with an eye, degraded eye. Third eye of a heart as well. If you go back, I'm not gonna. Where is it? Hawaii. There we go. Ammonite, side of a mountain, side of the big island, really. Side of Mauna Loa. More than one ammonite. Like, this is in the terrain because it's a current flow that basically produces spiraling, which even happened on the scale of Australia, where this is an ammonite structure. Even over here, really, if you kind of, like, one's like looking top down, one's from the side, even. As cool and crazy as that seems. Where this is like a chamber inlet thing or something, but at the same time not. I don't know. So there's a lot, like, this current is flowing under this thing. Imagine like a lava flow. This picture looks way more promising. Things of this nature that picture depicts, but that's not what that is. Show like the polygonal shapes that form, like Hawaii. I forget what the web's Hawaii pod. Yes, yes. This one. This one. Let's see if we can find some. Like there. Right there. That even looks a lot like right here. What's going on? Right there with this downward thing. And then interestingly, like if we really, really slow it down a bit and follow them a bit more. There's so much potential in physics to just look at these kinds of things and study them. I don't know if there's like a science of looking at this. Like, it's just lava and currents, and like, it's not really. I don't think people have looked at like how the cracks flow and how they merge and how all the sorts of things, and then the final result afterwards, and like really delved into this. But like, this is basically what I'm getting at, is there's some kind of flow Maybe I need a, that's right, I need a lava flow that shows like a protruding thing where the flow is going under, and then this protrusion that's like melted but like elongated. Maybe not good. Oh yeah, this one's like they don't use the actual image sometimes. Image from the actual footage. Here's the like here like this is polygons. This one I've talked about in Yin and Yang episode. I think it was called like 71 maybe, somewhere back there. 70. Not blocked, so ignore that other video. That was me complaining. Like this. So that really is reminiscent of this. With the like many protruding like hexagonal top type. I don't know if hexagonal, polygonal top that like enter into the boundary. Like a layer just slid away. Pretty much a layer slid away at that boundary. Interesting. I wonder if that's findable. Like this whole segment. Like, is that a fingerprint? Wouldn't that be incredible if this was like a fingerprint? Right there. It looks kind of like there's a swirl coming out of there. Because essentially this would have gone this way in this current. If we go back here, it's going up this way and then down this way. So it's probably pushed more this way into this region and beyond. Maybe into this region. I don't know if there's any... Or just this. It's hard to say with Google Maps because they just kind of stop the map at boundaries. I wonder if there's other maps besides Google. Of course, I've done this before, people judging me. I need something like Bing. I feel like Bing has a map. Bing map. Let's see if their ocean's a little different there. What in the... No. That's not what I'm doing. Where is our freaking map? satellite. Traffic, local, my places. There's literally... Aerial? Okay, fine. There we go. Let's compare. So like this region they fill in, that's cool. So we can kind of see this region way better here actually. Right here. Like even there, it looks kind of like a diamond with a thing there. But like it's literally just naturally these types of things happen. But there are energy points for sure that have some scientific relevance that we're not aware of fully at all. Even I don't know. I don't want to speak for everyone, but based on my observations of the world at large, there doesn't seem to be any more awareness of this. Maybe people are, but they don't share, or they haven't been able to share, but I'm not saying I understand what exactly they would be doing, just that it would make sense for there to be, like, a choice to use polygons as energy nodes for some type of reason that I don't understand in constructing things. Like here, like this just looks like a hexagon, but it's just naturally doing that. I would say it can't be. I mean, it can't be Atlantis because, first of all, it can't be because just like Rakat's structure, this was not like this until after the Earth expanded, which was when the Earth was attacked by a vortex weapon, and that's when Atlantis, if it existed, was on the Earth. Was when Dwarka was also on the Earth, and that's when it was sunk. So this would have been, if anything, like if it's a terrain that people live on, it would have been no different than like this, or like it would have just been like this. I don't know exactly. Some type of terrain that's not in its current state. It wouldn't have these boundaries. It wouldn't have these structures. These things were formed when the Earth expanded. So if there was a society there, they only would have posted up after the fact, which would have been, like I said earlier, like it seems like, pardon me, like 5500 BC and afterwards, which just wouldn't be Atlantis. Maybe remnants of Atlantis, but which is possible. But there's so many cool things here. I don't know. I'm just thinking of chemistry. So anyone who hasn't seen my cool stuff, at some point in my channel, in my underground science videos, I started to describe like hydrogen as basically as atoms as a container, a polygonal container, like the islands, the atolls I was showing earlier, that are similar in makeup to the structures in the keys. Where pretty much, like I said, there's a polygon, it has an inflow, and that inflow then behaves as like inducing a chamber, like a bubble, and then that chamber holds the space, and then the where the current flows is a positive, and where the current like induces mounds is a neutral, and then that's pretty much it. And the current itself is like the negative that fills the space of the positive, which makes it behave like inversely in some way where one requires the other, and etc. Whereas neutrons are like a filled space, so they don't need like new current into them, although they can be broken apart and all sorts of things based on this. But then like as more current flows in, the boundary changes, so we can go from that. First of all, it produces a mound and then a second mound, and while still seemingly having a stable amount of eddies that form, like eddies, little like, which is really where the positive is, that then is basically a proton. And so for more protons to form, they require more neutrons to like be backstops to hold the space to provide places for the currents to eddy. And so that was my general idea, where at some point I ended up converting it into this, the periodic table of currents, elements 1 to 20, including isotopes. I don't know how exact this is, of course. I do believe that it is generally what's going on and worth investigating, and really like turning it into a science in the same way as chemistry looks at periodic table to do the same thing, but from this angle. Like we definitely can and should, because it's real and is actually happening. Whether or not my interpretation of how it like continuously structures itself is exactly correct is not, probably not, especially the further away. Like maybe up here is pretty accurate, but the further away down here it becomes kind of, but at the same time there's a lot of merit to this. Like there does seem to be like the same number of neutrons, like here repeats 14, 15, 16 protons, but at the same structure of neutrons, as if the structure of neutrons is stable enough to like induce more eddies without needing more backstops. But then like this one, it's out of balance, so it really like quickly adds another backstop. But then that one is repeated and repeated, etc. So like that, there is this tendency, strongly suggests there's like actual like mechanism going on in that nature. So like these are probably reflective of like maybe even molecules. Like each one of these is like a little atom bonds connected by just like some subtle thing that maybe this is its own, I don't know, just concepts of that nature. Or these are atoms kind of thing that are bonded, but then maybe the bonds are breaking, I don't know. I noticed when I was looking up here, though, like at this, for instance, at this body of water, which we can't see very well on this map. Let's go back here. I was looking around, like, this is an interesting area for sure. There's a lot of these, like, little bubble boundary type cloud structures, almost like a cloud. Whoa, I wonder if lakes have, like, cloud, like, mirroring type things. But anyway, I was like, where these ones, like this one, I was noticing they tend to they almost have like bladders that then conjoin to some other adjacent system, and like maybe not there, but other places like here, like this one. This one's even got a like eyeball at the center. Oh my god, this is incredible. Whoa, it looks like a Mandel, whatever. Set one of these. Looks like that. Like it really looks like that. And this made me think of some kind of like bladder or something structure in like a body. Maybe there are like certain things of that nature that happen. This is interesting. But like a channel is here, so there's a conduit between the bodies. But sometimes, and then this looks kind of like an arrowhead. I keep pointing out that arrowheads are not necessarily actually arrowheads. And I keep coming back to like Venice Beach is here. Somewhere around here, like here, I think. Maybe here. Is like exceptional for shark teeth, but like shalograms are not fossils. Shark teeth are considered fossils from the same time period, some of them that are found there. Maybe some of them are fossils, but I'm really thinking like a big quantity of them are not actually fossils at all. And I was just looking at this region back to this like yin yang, like maybe like the whole of Florida, like this half over here that's not actually above water is like a yin yang to the rest of Florida. Like a wave over that way with an eye here. I don't. But where like around here, this region is like a node that then spirals out and spirals out. But then maybe it spirals out this way and then maybe comes back in like around that whatever's going on there. And like whatever's going on there. And like comes back here or something, and like back this way somehow, like just basically spiraling from this region back around and like producing pressures into this region. And behaving like an ammonite spiral structure that I keep running into, including up here and here. Like literally, in recent videos, I talked about how they're like gears. Sure, I don't know what I did. I don't know why I would save something when I don't know what I did, but Carolina Bays. That one. But it looks kind of like there's some kind of spiral that ultimately maybe like broke explosively, like created chunks that ended up being like repetitively created chunks in the process that are like arrowheads or like shark teeth, depending on the process or the nuances of the process. Or I'm not sure if arrowheads are the same. Maybe shark teeth though are literally created at like a boundary between like an inner shell and an outer shell or something. I don't know. Where then they were like forced down some specific channel at Venice. It's like they're not really everywhere. I find that too anomalous that they're like specific locations and not like more evenly distributed. I mean, I get that there's like some explanation for it, but it seems a little too like focused and exact in their location to actually be concentrated to that degree without a mechanism beyond just like casual current flows across time. Like, it's too slow and steady. Like, it would redistribute too much. You really need something to focus them there, get them there, be done, and maybe some more like after the fact evidence flowing, but like, meh. probably a current flowing above the surface this way. This one spiraled. I believe I determined this one was going clockwise. I can't remember. I think this one is counterclockwise in my interpretation. I believe. And then this one was, or no. I cannot remember. I think this one was, oh yeah, we can see. That's right. That's right, we can see it. It starts here. It goes kind of like the other one I was just mapping, like tracing, but like inverse. Because it's kind of indented into the lower elevation. So it goes here and then down this way. And then seemingly goes across here in different kind of ways, like here and here maybe, and up generally around here though, to like here, to this stretch. And just continues to wrap around generally over like, over here maybe, I'm not sure after that, and presumably up to here. And around probably to like the boundary here, which was already formed. So a current was flowing here, maybe this way, I don't know. But then like sending a major current through the whole region here, not just the Mississippi, but like the entire width here, especially with a current coming out directly this way, but also a current coming from over here. So there's all sorts of stuff going on above the surface, but below the surface it's flowing more this way and across this way and up this way and down this way. It's separating this region, opening this region, and opening this for the entire Pacific, basically. So if there's a heat, like hot material flowing generally this way and generally this way, and this space is opening here, it's hot, then there's probably going to be like a tendency to boil, like a pressure on the water that's approaching the boundary as water flows to the boundary. Like here it just boils. It just flows out and boils. This ancient ocean drains, boils, and literally deposits ridiculous quantities of salt here. Because it had to drain in, but over here maybe it was kept more in a spiraling here, somewhat, by this flow boundary, even by maybe by this boundary. Like it flowed out here and then went like generally into what became the Gulf, space-wise, but then that was where the hot material was flowing across of this. So maybe it created some kind of spiral over here, like a chakra. It's definitely a chakra. Florida's a chakra in the same way, like if we look at the United States from this angle. There's a chakra. United States, North America, pardon me. I guess kind of United States, since it's this chakra and this chakra. As well as a chakra here that connects more like completely through, but is still kind of a chakra. And then a chakra here, kind of a chakra here, maybe. Which is pretty much just like a node, an energetic a terminal for current to like flow out of a point. Like it goes through a big chamber of the continent, but then it gets focused to points at not just one point, but multiple points. Just by the overall process of the currents flowing above and below, which seems to have induced Florida for some reason rather than just carving it out. Like this could have just not been, could have been just sunk, all these pieces kind of mixed into here. We would never have known, really. It would have just been this like thing protruding out here. Nothing here, just like missing. Really following the border there, just looking more like literally like this. It could have been, and we might not have, like, just like this. We would have just looked at it like this. Florida would have been like right here or whatever. Wherever its boundary is, pardon me, Georgia. It looks really different from this angle, right? This is the United States. Crazy. Looking at it where this is like flat. All sorts of stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say real quick. That's my thoughts. That's why I don't believe that this is a ancient fort unless they built after the fact. But I mean, the shape itself is natural. If the shape itself is natural, then it doesn't have to be that there's an ancient fort there. It seems like the reasoning is based on the shape itself. So I would say even though there could have been one because it's based on the geology of the region that is seemingly chosen by people who are aware of this thing going on in nature and able to look at it from a bird's eye view enough like this to even see where they are. And maybe they don't need to at some point, but like it clearly helps to be able to see them, because they're like, no one would notice what's going on here from the ground for sure. So like being able to see them adds the capacity to then go forward to use the like technology that is dormant in their nature that we just simply are not doing, but maybe they were at some point. Still, it doesn't mean that they did, like, for certain here. That's my thoughts. So unless there's, like, evidence of them actually there, I don't know. Let's see if I can find it. History. I was watching Key West Waterman. Everywhere. This also looked interesting. I didn't finish watching it. But maybe this is a good one. Key West Waterman. Like here. He's basically saying like this stuff is kind of just these chunks. Like there's a tree there, there's a tree there. I don't want to play the video too much. I think he's basically saying like it was this way and then it kind of like fell off upside down even. I'm not sure if, either way, like it's almost like these are little floating islands that are now sinking into the water and becoming like an old one, like decaying into smaller components. But even this like has a straight and then a straight line. Like it's kind of hexagonal too. over here, up this way, I believe. It's hard to see.
Look at all these fish. This is cool. We need to come back here with some lunch.
This was also awesome. So cool. Freaking, he's catching fish, starting a fire in a pod, putting it in the water. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, that's so cool to be able to do that out there because the water's so chill. All right, guys, I'll be back later. Peace. Thanks for hanging out.